Hey, what's up, baby?
Hey, what's up?
Hey,
How's it
well,
going?
I'm real good. Am I on the air?
You're on the air.
Yay! Well, hold on. Let me give it to you straight, okay, Mac? Um,
lay it on me, Jack.
let me guess. You're trying to figure out what I'm up to.
You know it.
Okay, well, for everyone out there listening, I have some very exciting news. The last several times I have been asked what I'm up to, the answer is always the same. I'm at work,
Mm-hmm.
plugging away. But I
Crunching
have been
numbers.
liberated. I
You
have been
have
liberated.
been
The
liberated.
chains are off.
Chains are
So
off.
yes, I have been laid off from the job I worked for 4 years. I was the only one in my department who was laid off.
Wow.
So it was because I am possibly the weakest link there. No surprises, honestly, no surprises. And
Did they
that
say
was
you are the weakest link?
I fucking wish they didn't even give me that type of closure. Like that's what's fucked up.
Yeah.
Um,
There's never
no, instead
really
I got
closure.
what's that?
There's never really closure
Right.
like the way you'd want. Like the last job I was fired at, like I was considering quitting right
Yeah.
I think the day before I got fired because there was like this
Mhm.
big blow up and a big talk in the office with an HR person and a whole bunch of people.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I don't need this fucking shit, putting up with a bunch of
Right.
crazy dumb people. And then and so I was like, texting all my coworkers that night, being like, I can't you have no idea what just happened after you guys left or whatever. And
Right.
like telling Chisa and everything and just being like, I don't know what the fuck to do. And then I got there the next day and they were like, hey, can I see you in the office? Like, and I was like, okay,
Ooh.
let me clock in. And they were like, yeah, okay. And I was like, what? And then I went in and they fired me. They said I was fired and they gave me my last check and stuff. And I just like couldn't, you know what I mean? Like I just wanted to yell and shit or something,
Right.
but I didn't. I didn't say a word. And I wanted to scream out like freedom, like Braveheart, because this one dude, Joe Masterin, I think his name was. I went to high school with him. He was like years old. He was like a senior when I was a freshman.
Yeah.
And this was before Columbine and shit, but he used to wear a shirt that just said kill on it.
Damn, those are the
It's a
good old days. Anyway,
white shirt with black lettering that just said kill. And anyway, one day he got arrested in school. It was like drugs or something. And so the cops are leading him out in handcuffs. And he just screams out, freedom. It was fucking amazing. It was like,
Oh my god.
what a shitty moment in his life that he turned into like one of the coolest things I ever saw in high school.
Yes.
But anyway, yeah. So, yeah, it's always kind of that feeling of just like, oh, this is over now. This thing that I did forever, that I did like all the time, always.
Yes.
Now I don't do it anymore.
Yes. I feel a lot of things. One, they were very clear to their credit that it was a layoff.
Mm-hmm.
They gave me the verbal reason that it was due to coronavirus cutbacks.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, making me eligible to collect the corona check and all that
Right.
stuff.
Like a straight up,
And
yeah, that's
yeah,
best case scenario in this time.
they did that, and I did hear that there were other people in other departments laid off.
Mm-hmm.
But there's like 8 people maybe in my department, and I had been there the longest. There were some kids straight out of college that had been there less than a year.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
they fucking like I was the dinosaur, and they just hurled a meteor at me. You know what I'm saying? And I have maybe a bunch of ideas of why that could be, but I feel overall, I would say pretty good. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't know. I mean, you know how it is with just like you work something full time, you're basically like stuck there. I mean, you know, you can look for another job, but like that takes a lot of effort,
Oh,
like
it
while you're
takes
already
like
working.
all
And I
your
was, oh yeah, and I was looking for other jobs. I mean, off and on, didn't find anything. A lot of stuff even was like worse than the job I had that I was like looking
right.
at, and I was like, oh Jesus Christ, you know.
Yeah, it's
So
like your brain is like compartmentalized when you're working a
yes,
full-time job. If your full-time job is not your, your creative force. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like I'm sure it's different when it's the same shit, when it's like you're bringing the level of professionalism and getting money for like doing your passion.
sure,
I wouldn't know. I've barely done that. I guess on a tour or two, it's felt that way. But
yeah,
but anyway, so what happens is like you're working 8 hours, and like that part of your brain that you're using during that 8 hours is like the professional part of your brain. It's like the self
hmm,
upkeep part of your brain, the part that's like keeping the system going so that when you get off, the creative part of your brain can like hopefully still have a little bit of steam left to do stuff.
yes,
But like that compartmentalized professional part of your brain is done for the day. And it is so hard. Like I admire anybody who can work all day at a really hard job and then like manage to like do something like apply for another job, or
right,
you know what I mean, or like sign up for some classes or take that step to break out of a pattern. It's so hard.
so hard,
So
so hard.
hard. Especially if
And
you have creative things, because that's all you want to do when you get home.
right,
It's like,
right, and
yeah.
even just getting that energy can be a challenge sometimes. I mean,
Oh,
I've
totally.
been yeah, I've been historically pretty good at that, which you know,
Yeah,
to
you
my
have.
credit, but you know, that alone is like I want to save energy for. I have had some, you know, really exciting stuff to work on the whole time while I've been at my job. But yeah, I mean, doing all of that and fucking sending job applications. I mean,
Oh yeah.
Christ.
And the other
So
thing is like okay, so when you find a job that you can do that like doesn't straight up make you want to die. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like a job, like a full-time job. I mean, that's the majority of my time at the factory. I kind of felt that way. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
where I was just like, I was like, they don't really bother me. I can work. I don't have to handle customers or anything. Like,
yeah,
I'm getting enough money to be able to, I don't have many needs. So I can like go see movies, go out to eat occasionally,
yeah.
afford gas and rent and everything and be in Los Angeles around all my friends.
Right.
So that's great. And then like, the idea of trying to take time besides doing creative things outside of work is like for what? To get like a job that like it pays slightly better, but then you know what I mean? But
Hmm.
then I'm still in a similar like also I might be in a worse situation where I find that I can't function in that new
Yes.
job. You know what I mean? And that like I had the perfect balance of like mindless work plus doing really intense creative work outside of it and that sort of thing.
Yeah, what you described is like exactly what my situation was. Like we were doing different things, but that was like exactly my thought process. And honestly, I think that you and I are alike in certain ways with regards to, you know, how we feel like we can incorporate something like our job into our day-to-day lives. So it you know, makes
Yeah,
sense to me that that you think about it the same way.
totally.
But yeah, no, that was how it was at my job. I was like, I didn't like it. I mean, some days it really like fucking pissed me off or made me
Yeah.
depressed or
Oh yeah.
whatever.
Oh
But
yeah.
for the most part, it was like, yeah, I can do this, blah blah blah. I'm just gonna completely disassociate,
Yeah.
you know, etc. And like, I'm fine. Yeah, don't really like hate anyone here. Don't like hate any, you know, the stuff I'm doing. But
Yeah.
yeah, I just my theory is that, and I'll never like really know. I
Mhm.
mean, I don't know. It was funny. I have been scolded about my output at work, but like since we started working from home, I actually tried really hard to do like good, so that you know it could show that I wasn't just like goofing off.
Yeah.
So I actually thought I did pretty well for the last 2 months. But my theory is just that like someone like me, you can just smell on me that I hate. I just hate it so much.
Yes.
I tried. Of course, I try to be nice. I smile at people.
I know. I feel like you and I live off of like a kind of social charm, and then it occurs to people that like, probably we let too much stuff slip or something, that like we really kind of feel like this is beneath us. As if like we kind of feel like we were supposed to be royalty or something like that. Like
100%.
The amount of like tons of privilege that we're already dealing with, it doesn't seem to quite be enough. Unless I was like getting paid for creative work and being written about or something, then and still that's a lie, obviously. Like, obviously there's not actual real spiritual enlightenment found with like fame or money or anything.
Right.
And but like, people notice that like you don't want to be there. And like I'm not, and I'm the same like you. Like I'd have bad days, and everybody would have bad days where you kind of don't want to talk too much. But usually even by the end of that bad day, I'd break out of it and just be chatting with people, and everyone would kind of make me feel a little better usually. Because I had real friends there. And at all my jobs, I've felt this way for the most part. Like, but everyone would kind of start to like. It's the same way, when like you work with like teenagers or something, like back in the day, like teenagers would like complain constantly about the job. Usually, of just like, this sucks, I don't want to fucking do this. And I used to do that too, and I'd be like, yeah, this does suck, I don't want to fucking do this. And that's the worst kind of person to be around at a job. You know what I mean? So like, if anyone can even just sense that, like, managers can usually sense that, because often they'd be like, if I was doing good enough of a job, they'd like try to encourage me to like, especially as I got into my like 30s and stuff, try to encourage me to like try to take on more of an authoritative position. Like, do you want more responsibilities? And I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm good. I'm pretty good. And they'd be like, okay, well, I'm noting that you apparently think little of my job as a manager here. And like, it's like, no, it's not that. I'm just, I'm good.
Exactly. Hold on, wait, I'm just gonna plug in my headphones so I can hear you better. One sec.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Totally.
Cool. No, I feel the fucking same way. I'm like, I just want to do what is expected of me.
Right.
And I want to leave. I don't want to do like more. I just want to know, like, is this good? Is this enough for you? Like, I have no ambitions beyond that. I have a very vivid like life outside here, and I know like no one wants to be there. A lot of people have shit to go outside of work, but
totally.
I just feel this fucking revulsion. And I can feel like you can smell it on me.
Well,
like,
totally. And it gets the more, okay, so like those days where something like does haunt you for the night and maybe the next day, you know what I mean? Like the days where it is bad are the days where you find yourself like caring too much.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's like the days where like some manager says the wrong thing to you, and like you're kind of like, wait, I thought I was doing fine. Like this seems more about you than me. You know what I mean? Like it seems like you're just like in a bad place. So you're like, or maybe your boss is coming down on you, so now you're coming down on me. I've got no one to come down on to, because I'm just like a regular worker here. And so you realize that like getting further within that, where then like more bosses are telling you what to do and you have more responsibility, like you're gonna be forced to care more. Because I always want to do a good job, even if I think, like, I usually think the majority of the jobs I have are like fairly meaningless, and I've been proved right, because when I quit or get fired, the job goes on just fine without me. And
Yep.
I'm still alive and breathing over here without the job. So like apparently it's just been kind of this like mutual symbiotic relationship, but it didn't really matter. And
Mhm.
the idea of getting deeper within that and caring more and like losing sleep over the job that I already admitted I find kind of meaningless
Mhm.
is that's like the nightmare situation, because they're not paying you to lose sleep. They're not paying you to have like muttering arguments with yourself while you're washing dishes that night.
Mhm.
Like all of that shit. And anytime, like before the factory job, I worked a warehouse job where everything was going fine. It was a small workforce and like everything was fairly good. And then I started like trying to become full time and started having to take on some more customer service responsibilities. And it
Mhm.
got bad. And then a new boss came like back to work and started like really like change the entire work environment. And I was suddenly working directly for this person and just like couldn't get along. I couldn't do anything right according to them,
Mhm.
and they just saw me as like sabotaging the place. And I had that feeling as soon as I got to the factory, because the owners of the factory had the exact same little dog as my last warehouse bosses. They had the exact same dog. They both saw themselves as like liberal entrepreneurs. They saw themselves as like providing jobs for people. You know what I mean? The kind of
Yeah,
boss that makes you think that
absolutely.
like they're doing you a favor by, you know, paying you for your labor and time.
Yes.
And I just knew. I knew as soon as I got to the factory, I was like, I they're giving me health insurance. I'm getting paid whatever, you know, $15 an hour or something. And I'm just gonna be good at doing this. And I'm gonna make friends with my coworkers, and I'm not going to try to be anything other than like a factory worker.
Yes.
And it worked fine. They kept giving me raises every year to the point where I was like, you know, almost making similar money to some of the managers near the end, but that was too much. And they just came down on me, you know. Didn't
Yep.
I
Ugh.
got too close to the
So
top like Icarus. And
yeah, like like Icarus, like young Icarus, man. Oh God, no, I relate so hard to what you're saying, and it finally hit a breaking point. The needs of the company plus my inability to like either conform or show ambition or whatever, like some weird combination of those things came to a head. I have been set free. My case has
yes.
been open. I'm flying over Los Angeles. I'm looking down at everyone. I'm saying, "Wow, imagine being down there. I'm up here." Oh, wait. One thing I wanted to add though is that, and now I know that these two things are not necessarily like go hand in hand, but I will never forget this. Like a month, or like not even a month, like a month before like quarantine happened, so maybe 3 months ago, we were having like our monthly, like we get free lunch day, like worker appreciation day, blah blah blah. You get
Yeah,
lunch at the office,
sure.
and we were sitting around at the table, and I was just pleasantly participating, and every so often throwing out an absolute like C grade joke. You know what I
Sure.
mean?
Oh,
Just
of course.
not my best material. Just trying to like, but I
Yeah.
have
A
not trying to
lunchroom
say
joke.
not trying to be too weird, but still trying to like I always have a joke
Right.
and I remember I threw some joke out and I can't remember the exact words, but my immediate supervisor was just like, Ash, you are such a cool person to be around. I was like, oh, well, thanks.
Yeah.
And then 3 months later, I'm fucking fired. I don't
Yep.
know. Am
Oh
I
my
cool or
god.
am I not? I
I
don't
can't tell you
understand.
how many bosses have told me how much everybody loves having you
Yeah.
around, and we're sorry that we have to let you go. Like in the same sentence. The last one,
uh,
they like had totally they like couldn't bring, they were firing so many people, and like the HR person had like become this like jaded, like fucking bureaucratic, like hatchet man, you know, like a like
mhm.
an executioner face, and it was just like, I know you like me. Like, I know we
Right.
hang out and we talk about stuff, and we used to be really close before you got promoted more, and like I know I make you laugh. Um, but like you're doing this right now. Bear to come down on people. I couldn't bear to you know, be an authoritative voice in something I don't believe
Absolutely.
in.
I have no desire. No desire.
Yeah.
I don't want to fucking ask anyone to do something. Like, what the fuck?
I know.
Come on.
Isn't it? Can't it just be enough that I'm just doing it? Like, that's the way I
Never.
really felt at the end of the factory, was just like, isn't it just fine? Like, like, can't I just, I'm still faster than I was when I started.
Yes.
Like, I know I'm consistent. I always show up to work. I'm like easy to be around. Like, can't that just be enough? Like, is it like, what is it just always have to be like ever building, ever
Yep.
expanding? You know what I mean? Like, it's wild.
Well, isn't there something like, I am like a dumbass, I don't know this, but isn't there something with like businesses once they go like public or whatever, where they like have to I'm not talking about like this is what our companies
It's like
were doing,
what
but isn't there
capitalism is based off
right?
of, right? Like a
There's
constant
an
state of
ideological
expansion.
thing that like that businesses have to be showing, not necessarily the ones we worked for, but just in general, that's like the ideology of this whole thing. And like, I just don't understand. I just want to live in a fucking like Richard Scarry book where I'm like a rat that has an Apple hat and I'm driving to the Apple store. Not the fucking Apple store, but I mean, I sell fucking like fruit or whatever, and I do my task every day, and everyone's like, there goes Ash. Like, they're a fucking like worm in a car that's driving toward the fruit stand where they were, and I don't have to like work up anyway.
Right.
I could go off
just
about
some
this,
semblance of like treating me like a human and not a commodity. It sounds like fucking so simple, and you feel like it should be, but it's just like at a certain point, an expansion process happens at a place.
Yeah.
And they like, it suddenly becomes more important to just like keep the thing going. And like they just like, you just like excuse little things along the way.
Yeah, absolutely.
And like tell yourself like, well, this is just the way you have to go. And as soon as you get to a certain point, then you'll start like rewarding the workers and stuff. And then before you know it, the owner of a place decides that they are truly working the hardest. And so they do deserve the most, and they are the creator of this business. So like that makes them more important. And like everyone is here on their mind, they're here like voluntarily, which is like crazy because like that's as we're all finding out right now, like that's the crazy thing about healthcare right now, is the idea that like employers get to treat us like we are, California, we've got it better than a lot of states, but like the idea that that like an employer should be able to laud healthcare over you, like what kind of, you have no chance at workers' rights at that point. You know what I mean? Like there's no no one should have that kind of power over you. That's like a right. It should be a right.
Absolutely. I even one time, this is like when I first started at my place, but I even said something like about that to one of the times I got like, the first times I got yelled at my job. And blah, blah, blah. They were asking me if I like something working there. And I was like, oh yeah, like blah, blah, blah. And like, having the healthcare has been great for me. And like my HR person said to me, like, well, I hope it's more than the healthcare that you like about this place. And I was like,
oh yeah, that's it.
Fuck.
That's exactly what it is. Like,
yeah. Oh Christ. How is it more than the health? How is it more like?
Yeah. Why is it not
more than me like being able to go to the doctor? Like, that's crazy.
I know. Why does it have to be like? In every job interview, why do you have to fucking pretend that you're there for anything other than a paycheck?
Exactly. Oh God.
Like I get it in like a fucking like it's just like, it's insane. And like a true true, like, you don't have to do that when you're like trying to sell art or something like that.
Uh-huh.
You don't have to tell anybody like how much you believe in it. In fact, people kind of want you to be like, yeah, I barely even gave a shit.
Yes.
I
No,
barely
it's
even
true.
fucking
That is,
tried, man. This is just like what I do,
yeah, this is just how good I am that I
So,
make this
yeah.
product that you piggies want.
So why do we make our fucking workers grovel to to do like menial jobs? It's insane.
Nightmare.
I had
But,
I had to interview with
yeah.
3 people at Whole Foods once to be a dishwasher. 3 separate people, all 3 people around a table interviewing me outside of a Whole Foods in a table outside for a dishwasher job. And them basically telling me in the interview that like you can work up to 30 hours, but at 30 hours we'd have to give you health insurance. Like just being like upfront about that.
Nice.
Just being like upfront and being like, we're not going to give you health insurance. We're going to work you the bare minimum or the maximum before we'd have to give you health insurance. And it was something like $10 or $11 an hour. And I was just like desperate for work. And I didn't get the job. I didn't get the job, Ash. They wouldn't let me do it. They said no. They must have been. They must have, like you said, they must have sensed the distaste that I'm sure I felt when I was in that interview, thinking, I can't wait to tell one of my friends that I just interviewed with 3 people at a Whole Foods to wash dishes. I can't believe that just happened. Like
They can tell. No, listen, they can smell it on us.
Oh, yeah.
We're like, I have, even though I'm a lively, bubbly person, I have a dead look in my eye that says I would rather die than do this. And they just know it doesn't matter how much I fucking smile or whatever. But this is to say that I have been liberated. I mean, this will be the first. I've been really lucky in that, like, I actually, as much as I hate it, this is my first time getting cut from a place.
Right.
I've only worked at a couple workplaces, and I've done so for like a couple years each time.
Mm-hmm.
So this is actually one of the first like summer vacations I've had since I like entered the workforce, basically. So, I mean, if anyone from the unemployment office is listening right now, yes, I plan on actively looking for work this whole time. But
good luck.
Right. But I am really looking forward to getting paid to work on music. Shit, I just got paid for some production work I did today. It was really cool. So I love having the time to do this. Work hard on my podcast. Work hard on my music. I mean, I've been working every fucking day since I got laid off.
Exactly.
And it feels good. It feels good.
Okay, and see, that's part of it too. Is just like you do work hard. I know you do because I listen to your music, and I know for a fact how hard it is to make that kind of music. And like that's the thing is like I hate the fact that like there's this mentality, and I feel like it's like often lauded towards like millennials or something, or even just like whatever anybody trying to ask for like human rights or whatever. It's like looked at as just basically like kind of like complaining, like lazy people complaining, and it like works. Right. It like affects me and makes me feel like I must just be a fucking baby, because I look at the dysfunction of the world that capitalism has caused. You know what I mean? Like I look at the desperate people at the border and the people in prison and the countries that we've destroyed over that generations before me have destroyed over the years, and the aftermath and like the inability to fix all this and just like all these desperate situations. And it makes me feel like my want to be treated like a human at a job is like petty and sinful, and that like I've got friends and family, so that I won't have to be homeless or something, even if I were injured or whatever. Like somebody would help me out, and like and it just like basic human rights makes you like wanting just want like the fact that workers can like exploit people with a far more desperate situation than I have. Like they will then turn that on me and be like, you're just being privileged, wanting to have human rights. And it's totally felt that way. Like I got yelled at by the owner of the factory during a meeting about safety. They were asking if anybody had any questions about safety, and this was like way later on. And I raised my hand and was just like, just so you know, like, because it occurred to me that everybody in the office was getting like nearly twice as much paid leave as everybody else in the factory. And in the factory, we were working in like 100-degree weather with no air conditioning, manual labor, and like often overtime and forced overtime as well. And I was just like, like I know people are working when they're sick because they don't feel like they have enough sick time.
Yeah.
And I just don't think that like 1 week a year of sick time is enough. And they just said like, they just like they got really uncomfortable in the meeting and like didn't really have an answer. And then after the meeting was over, like, so it was like, Brian, can I talk to you a second? And then like yelled at me for having done that and said I was throwing shade, quote unquote, throwing shade at them. And like and all that shit, and was like that I was like really just trying to like make them look bad or something. And I was like this is like my life, this is like my well-being, like this is my health I'm talking about. I'm not like I don't see how this affects your vanity, and I don't care, but this is just my health, you know what I mean? Like it was crazy. I was shaking mad.
Yes, okay, that story is so indicative in so many ways, because in this fucking weird, like, neo-lib era that we live in, like, not only do all these, like, dehumanization systems work, they all condense in a liberal boss accusing you of throwing shade.
Yes.
Like, that is, like, the micro, that's the verbal transaction that happens.
Yeah.
That symbolizes all these systems coming together, and like that level of insult is just like so much to bear. And like that, when people, especially the people who like say shit like that, are trying to have the cool workplace by like bringing in their cultural knowledge of like the cool phrases and stuff. Like
it's totally
that is what makes the flavor of our society so dark.
Totally.
But you're free. I am, as a matter of fact. And also, the food I ordered might be here.
Oh, you gotta go do that.
Yeah, I think I do.
There's a process involved now, so I can let you go.
There is. Yeah. Well, I'm just doing the text message negotiation right now to say where are you, etc. Maybe I should say bye right now and hunt down my food like an animal in the wild.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you have some time to work on some stuff during this pandemic, and I know you'll use it. So good.
Thank you. I definitely will. I sure will. It was nice talking to you, my friend.
You too. All right.
You have a great day.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
Okay. That was fun. That was good. I got a little heated there. I still get kind of shaking mad when I start talking about getting fired. Anyway. I'm not really mad anymore. Bye, everybody.